Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Thank you so much, and welcome to The Social. We'd like to welcome to the panel music journalist Emily Hansfeld here. And I would wear this to the club.
Oh, so
yes,
good.
We love
so
it. We
good.
loves it. Okay, everybody, let's kick this off. I don't know if you've heard this news, but the Toronto Transit Commission, aka TTC, announcing that it will start to shame riders engaging in antisocial behavior on subway platforms over the loudspeakers. Okay? Oh, someone's saying finally.
Oh, this
finally.
so
So
exciting.
they say, what does that mean? They say that's anyone who's vandalizing property or being aggressive toward others. And there's been a bit of a mixed reaction, although this section, we're very clear where you stand. We love that. But listen, the rest of us, what do we think? Is public shaming the solution here?
I think. I found my people here. Because I am an absolute monster on the TTC.
You are?
I'm shaming left, right, and center.
Really?
Like I'm Oprah giving up. I can't.
Well, what are the things that are setting you off?
I mean, you know, if someone's got the backpack on, they're turning around. If someone's pushing you and rushing to get out, but you're all going in the same place, it's like, please calm down.
Yeah.
I have one, but I will say things to people directly, not too harshly, I don't think. But
Yeah, that's not your style.
There was one time where there was a kid, probably 7 years old, and I see him picking his nose and lining up his boogers on the subway pole. So I'm watching this happen. I'm just horrified.
Is the parent watching?
So the dad is there, and I'm like, he's gonna say something. Doesn't say something. So I go up to the dad and I said, excuse me, your son is putting boogers on the subway pole.
What did he say?
He looked at me expressionless. So sometimes the shaming doesn't work, but I've been shamed before.
What did you get shamed for?
When I was a kid, a wee lass,
You were putting boogers on the pool.
I was. And then I was like, and so I was with my friends. We were playing with ringtones on the phone, and we were kind of trying them out. Can you imagine how annoying that is?
Yes.
So adults at the end of their workday are on the train, and this guy just loses it on us, rightfully so. I learned my lesson. He was right. We were annoying, and shame sometimes does work. You gotta hand it out.
Wow.
Interesting. I mean, I definitely, as a rule, I don't like shaming. I don't like the idea of shaming. I just think it's wrong. And I can see all the ways in which this would go sideways. Having said that, I do have a story of recently something that happened on the TTC where somebody came to try to rush the doors, which I think happens on the regular, right?
Yeah.
The doors are closed. They kind of get in like an arm, and then they force them open. And the TTC operator, the subway operator, actually got on the loudspeaker, and this was one of those days where you could hear it. It wasn't one of those rah, rah, rah. I could hear what he was saying. And he said, please, to the person wearing it, so he described the person, they weren't on my car, can you stop doing that? And then he went on to explain what happened. So apparently when you force those doors open, oftentimes it breaks the door, which is like, I didn't know that. And so then it puts the car out of service, which causes delays, which makes all of us very upset. So this wasn't so much of as a public shaming as it was a public service. So I think in that case, it was actually very helpful. I didn't know that beforehand.
First of all, great.
Yeah.
That's a great use of that.
I like
technique.
that.
My problem with this pilot project is that it doesn't go far enough. So far,
wow.
the TTC, Oh yeah, we want it all.
We're not the big guns.
It'll make sense. It'll make sense. Right now they're saying they're only going to use this on the loudspeakers on platforms, on 2 stations for the pilot project. A lot of the worst behavior is happening in the train when you're en route. So right now they're not shaming, and that is where you're going to get into a lot of trouble. You know those yellow strips? Every transit system probably has their own version of like an emergency something that you can pull. And so there's delays because people are using them wrongly, or maybe there's somebody who's misbehaving on the train. So I do wonder, is the platform the only place? Like if the issues are also happening on trains, why are we not going to also do it on the trains themselves? I think it doesn't go far enough.
That's why we gotta shame each other.
Shame platforms, even the escalators. Don't forget you're supposed to.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Hi, I see you. I respect you. You stand right and you walk left. Nice little subtle reminders. But have you guys ever been to a city where they do have public transit and it kind of works? It's like everyone kind of, Japan, Tokyo, Seoul, Stockholm's another one. And Yeah, you're right. And I wonder if some of this, that idea of the social contract, social etiquette, it's kind of baked in from a young age, and that they don't have to resort to shaming because everyone just sort of follows the rules, and there's better signage, there's better design, there's better layout, it's all there.
And you said public transit systems that actually work. You know what people, you know what makes people grumpy? You know what makes people agitated? Waiting 45 minutes for a streetcar or a bus. I'm sorry, TTC. I'm happy you're putting resources into tattletaling on people, but how about you put resources into making the subways actually come?
Hey, what about this? I think we ought to stick with Shane. If someone asked you to open up your Notes app and show what's in there, would you? No. It's interesting. A reporter for the Washington Post writes that if you really want to know a person, that's precisely where you need to look. So would you guys show, would you show me what's on your Notes app?
I would show a stranger over somebody who I actually knew, I feel like. Do you know what I mean? I don't care what a stranger thinks of me, but I do care what my friends think of me. And I think it's a window into an embarrassingly chaotic mind. And I'm just
what do you have on there?
Well, it's a mixed bag. I think this is probably true for all of us. It's half-baked grocery list with 2 items on it.
Okay.
To my blood pressure results.
That's not that embarrassing. I'll show you embarrassing. That's nothing.
That's
not
that
great.
bad. Well, but just some of it's useless too. For example, I spoke at Mel had a retreat on the weekend. I spoke there. We talked about sex and pleasure. So I made a note to myself to remember my vulva puppet and my 3D clitoris. These are 2 important items I planned on bringing. It's a 2-list item, and I forgot one of them. So how useful is that anyways?
I would love for a stranger to find that.
Right? That would have been an interesting conversation. What's your embarrassing?
I was looking today. I have 1,700 notes.
What? I might rival you with that.
I have
1,700
to check my number.
Okay. And I would say about 2% of those are understandable grocery lists, some nice brainstorming, and then 98% are things so embarrassing and personal.
Are they rage notes?
I don't think a lot about what happens when I die, but I do think about who's gonna get access to my journals and who's getting access to my notes.
So is it poetry? Is it journal writing?
Terrible poetry. It's lines from my therapist. It's the things I want to talk about my therapist with next session.
Yeah, I have that too.
It's things I don't like about my exes, so I can remind myself that they're not all that.
Wow.
I don't want people in on that.
Almost. It's little reminders.
What about your
I think
notes?
mine are so boring, and I think I'd share them. In fact, I went through, same with you, movies I want to watch, grocery list, takeout orders, because whenever I go to a takeout place, I'm like, what did we get last time? It was so good. Let me just look through these 50 notes and find it.
50?
I know, 50. That's it.
I'm pretty boring as well. If someone were to grab my phone, the app that I'd be most worried about are my text messages.
Oh.
Yeah. Notes? Boring.
Go
it's
at it.
Very perfunctory. It's the grocery list. It's whatever. It's nonsense. But my text messages, man, I need to password protect my text. That's where my personal stuff goes down.
Okay.
Look at the stuff that we mess around with. It's very
But there's things you say to your friends and things you hold back, and all the things you hold back, that goes in your notes.
Really? You actually write it down?
Oh yeah, that's where all the real secrets live. Don't hack my phone.
And you're writing them to yourself. You're writing them to yourself.
Sometimes I do have arguments. There's one app where it's I try to take both sides of a contentious situation and then write out, yeah, but, and go back and forth, almost like I'm having a fight. Not a fight, but an argument. That's
things
a
you would
method, I guess.
Does that work? So you
it
helps
does
you
sometimes,
process?
but it's more to do with world politics, not myself.
Wow. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Okay, everybody, make sure those passwords are enacted on your phone.
Okay, a writer for The Guardian says she refuses to date anyone who uses ChatGPT. She says trying to form a deep, lasting connection with a person who outsources original thought is the ultimate ick. Emily, do you agree? You're out on the dating scene. Do you agree?
Ick. I have such an ick for over-reliance on technology in general. I can't even stand the thought of a partner being at home talking to their Alexa to figure their life out. I can't deal with that. There's something about it, and AI is the same for me. I think what it is that when you use AI, you're putting in the least possible effort into finding answers. So you're not resourceful. It's kind of leaning into this passivity that I find a huge turnoff. The idea of being next to someone and them looking to ChatGPT for their answers on what to do with their day, and with me makes me want to cry and be single forever.
Would you prefer that a potential mate turn to their squire to help them?
Preferably.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference between, like in this case, this woman, the ick was she saw a guy pull up ChatGPT to look for a restaurant in the area that they were in. Isn't that just like looking for Google?
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. One, and I don't want to make this too, but we know that every time you look in ChatGPT, every search is bad for the environment and it takes a lot more energy.
Actually.
So I'll say that. And there is a turn off to me in that, in like, do you not know or do you not care? Either way, ick and ick. But it's just put a little more effort. Even if you Google it and you have to read a few blurbs about different restaurants and make a critical decision instead of AI saying, this is what your life is going to be.
It takes so much time, Emily.
You're into this? You're out on the dating scene.
I'm not on the dating scene, so I don't have to worry about the ChatGPT stuff. I use ChatGPT a lot, the way that it was used in this case that the woman had an ick with. So for example, she's like, could you imagine that, you roll over in bed, you wake up, and the guy says, you know what, let's go find a beautiful restaurant, and I'm gonna ChatGPT. What ChatGPT is good for? Not everything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be, you can definitely lean on it and be lazy, but I actually think for me, I use it a lot for travel, for restaurants, because I am not a foodie, and if I'm going to a city that I've never been to, I am gonna rely on people who have the expertise that I don't have.
But why wouldn't you then pick up a newspaper to Emily's point?
A newspaper?
Okay, what is this that I want?
Sorry, I know you.
I love it.
What about
hold on, I have to give smoke signals to talk to my neighbor.
But can I ask you something? Can I ask you something?
You go.
I'm on dating apps, right?
Yes.
I know, it's sad. I'm on dating apps and sometimes the bio will say, I used ChatGPT to write this bio, haha, and they think that's a common thing. People are
that's
leaning
an
into
ick.
it.
Yeah.
That is definitely it.
It's a slippery slope.
But like, what if a guy used ChatGPT to try to get their insurance amount lower? I did that. I asked him to write me a script to be like, this has gone up 36%, like in every year. Help me write a script to fight back. It didn't work. But that's clever.
But that's not relying on it for your romance.
Yeah. Okay. I do think though that we can't lose sight, not to sound like a Debbie Downer, but like it's like if we start outsourcing all this stuff, we are eliminating like people who are artists. I think back to my first couple dates with Jason too, where he sent me a 2-lined email. The first line I can't tell you because it's just too private, but it was about my skin.
It's in your notes app.
And it might be in my notes app. The second line though was, I'm a man of very few words and I choose them carefully, and it gave me such a, like these 2 lines gave me such a window into who he was. If I found out afterwards that he'd got ChatGPT to help him,
that's fair.
That to me, it is a huge ick. So we can't become too reliant on this. Otherwise, it's completely disingenuous and it's gross.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Fair.
Okay. So Reddit users are sharing unusual habits that were totally normal in their family. For example, one person wrote that they always mute TV commercials, and someone else said their family members cheer for each other's farts. So is there an unusual home habit that you thought was totally normal growing up in your house?
Well, we'd have friends come over. You know those deep and delicious frozen cakes? We'd come over and friends would always be so excited to have a piece. And I didn't find out later why, because in my house, that cake was cut into 4 pieces. I think it's intended to serve 8 people, not 4. And so to this day, a childhood friend of mine who has grown kids, their children still refer to it as, oh, Mom, can we have a just slice? So if that is my legacy, so be it.
Mine is very, very odd. I grew up on a horse farm, and we had a well. And it was kind of shallow, and if anybody's ever grown up on a well, you have to be really careful. Sometimes the water gets so low you don't have water. So before anybody could take a shower in the house, you'd have to actually pick up the phone, call, you get the reference, call the stable to make sure that they weren't watering the horses at the same time, or doing other things with water, or you would have no water for your shower or lose.
You thought that was normal.
And I was like, oh, that's totally normal. So I'd go to other people's houses and people would just take showers. Normal. And I was like,
where do you keep the horses?
Yeah, where do you keep the horses? You don't have to call anybody and you have all the hot water in the world? That's amazing.
Do you have a good one, Emily?
I put this into I have 3 siblings, and I put this into the sibling group chat, and it just went off. And I realized a lot of them are about food. If you have a lot of siblings, I feel like there's a lot around food. I knew that most kids didn't like vegetables. I mean, that's kind of a thing. So we were picky. But what I didn't realize is that most families didn't take it as far as we took it. Like, we would have full-on green bean protests, standoffs between the parents and the kids every night, where you were sitting there and they're sitting there. You're not allowed to leave the table until you eat your beans. They won't leave either. So those lasted a really long time. We would negotiate, we would make deals. This would happen like every night. And I was like, oh yeah, you're picking me too. And then they'd talk about it and be like, yeah, I just had to eat my green beans. And I was like, oh, I would just sit at the table and just wouldn't eat it.
It's the food things though, because in our family, I think my dad must have started this. Anytime you made a sandwich that was on a bun, he called it a bunwich. So I just went out in the world thinking that that's what everyone called it. So I think I asked for it somewhere, like, Joe, can I have a bunwich? And the person was like, what did you just say? Anyways, that's when you realize, like, your family is not normal.
Sweet.
Yeah. You can use that one. Go for it.
Yeah,
Make it a thing. Make it a thing.
It just goes to show we all have a little weird in us, and it's just fun. How does this sound to you? Lights, camera, action, Pope. There's about 36 Hollywood stars who will meet Pope Leo this weekend, including actors like Cate Blanchett, Chris Pine, Adam Scott. The Vatican has said that the Pope has, quote, has expressed his desire to deepen dialogue with the world of cinema, exploring the possibilities that artistic creativity offers to the mission of the church and the promotion of human values. I mean, he's busy, the church is busy, so is this a priority, or should it be a priority for the church?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm with you. I mean, I went to film school, though my first degree was in screenwriting, and I'm a huge fan of film, but I don't like the idea of religion getting involved. To me, it's too close to propaganda, and I think there's all kinds of problems. I just even think about movies, like you think about 1988, Martin Scorsese made The Last Temptation of Christ. And I don't know if you remember, there was so much controversy around that, because there's a scene where Jesus is sort of on the cross, and I believe he's imagining another life where he'd ended up with Mary Magdalene. There's a little bit of a spicy scene there. People were up in arms about that. If you imagine a scenario where the Catholic Church is involved with that, I see censorship. I see that. Not to mention a movie like Spotlight, which literally called out the Catholic Church.
That's so interesting.
So I think it's a bad idea.
I think that's a very interesting take. I didn't take this, though, as the Pope starting up a production company and making movies. I sort of took it as, like, him thinking about, you know, what his job is, and arguably his job could be, someone's already moaning, his job could be seen as helping the world see compassion. And I think movies or cinema is the easiest art form to do that. It's empathy generating. And the fact that 2 of his favorite movies that he cited are all about despair, grief, and making sense of loss, making sense of sorrow. And so I just viewed it as him being like, how can we use film to become more compassionate and to sort of evaluate all of this stuff about the human condition?
Like, doesn't it already do, like,
it already does, but I feel like the Pope
Like,
wants to understand how he can better harness this.
Yes. I don't think it's so much as like, how can he help the film industry, but I think
how can the film?
Exactly. I think of myself, I'm an outsider with this story. I'm not Catholic myself, of course, no disrespect, but for me, I kind of see these operating cultural silos, like in my own life, in terms of these values and principles that the Pope is trying to usher into society. I sort of see him over there because he doesn't factor into my life as much. But with this overlap and sort of cross-pollination culturally and pop culturally, I think that it allows, one, for me to kind of someone like me to have him more in my life and in my mind space, but also it provides a different conduit for his messages and mission, which is supposed to be, you know, to unify and to promote these lessons of empathy.
Can I ask a quick question?
This is a maybe more productive.
Well, just because you're a music buff, would you like the idea of the Catholic Church getting involved with music?
But I think it depends what you mean by getting involved. I think I don't see this, I don't see like, a Taylor Swift calling him and being like, what do you think about this lyric? Or Martin Scorsese doing that.
Okay.
I see it more as this is one strategy or tactic that's among many of how can I unify or get as many people onto my message as possible. One, let's say, of unity or whatever it might be.
My take is this, as a Catholic, could the Pope just be jumping on the influencer bandwagon?
Oh, interesting.
He just wants to get
if
some
you take a
photos
look-
with actors?
I mean, I'm not going to say that Pope Leo is clout chasing, but I might say he seems like a very lovely man. Let's not forget, he is American. He's an American, so he understands Hollywood culture in maybe a way that Pope Francis didn't understand or Pope John Paul didn't understand. He understands the power of the movie, the film, the celebrity. So he's got 30 people there. I think Spike Lee is going. There's really interesting
cool.
people.
Yeah.
Diverse perspectives that he's inviting there. So is this actually about influencing film, or is it about, like, I don't know if you did this, I watched Conclave at the time that we were choosing a new pope.
Yeah.
You don't think that the Pope has watched Conclave? It can be very influential in bringing people back to understand or perhaps reintroduce the church to people like me who've maybe strayed.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know.
Though the list is interesting, you know, Kate Blanchett, Dave Franco. I don't know if these are the people who are going to kind of usher in the new message, but I'm curious to see.
I'm curious as well.
We'll see. Well, I'm sure we're going to talk about it next week, so stay tuned, everybody. It's going to be a blast. Emily Hanscamp, you know, she's a producer on our team, so we see you every day, but it's nice to see you here with us today.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.